Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Dear students, tomorrow I'm not available for live class again because we have proctored online exams, so I will be busy tomorrow. So, but still, nevertheless, you're not going to miss the lecture if you watch this piece of lecture in entirety and try to on the Eclipse, so you'll be all good, inshallah ta'ala. So today our topic is about serialization and thereby what is deserialization. Okay. So we need to understand what is serialization and what is deserialization. Basically, before we discuss this thing, we need to know what is a marker interface. Okay, the interfaces we already know. Then what the heck is the marker interface? Now this marker interface is something which is totally empty. Okay, so what does it mean it's totally empty? If it is empty, then what the heck it will be of what use it will be, right? So prima facie it thinks, well, it's of no use, then it has nothing in it. It has no methods in it, it has no fields in it. Then why we use it, right? So marker interfaces have no methods in it or no fields in it. This is the first thing. They are totally empty. So they are empty interfaces. They have nothing in it. And we have the three such, for example, interfaces here. The first thing is your serializable. Okay. Second is your clonable. Okay. And third thing is your what's called as a remote interface. So serializable interface, clonable interface, and remote interface. And we are talking about, actually have to talk about the serializable interface, which will be helpful for us, right? So this serializable interface, this is firstly found in java.io package. We have, oh, it's not writing. It's not writing. Let me keep it down. This is in java.io package. Okay. Your serializable interface. The clonable is in java.lang package, your default package. And remote interface, this is in your java.rmi package. So you have to import these packages before we can use them. Java.lang is default, but if you have used serializable, you have to import java.io.serializable. And if you use remote interfaces, you have to use java.import java.rmi.remote and whatsoever. I mean, something like that. So, but the question is, if I am saying that these interfaces, the serializable, the clonable, or remote, they are marker interfaces. So when something is a marker interface, that means it's empty, it doesn't have any field or a method. Then why we need them? We implement them in these interfaces because we know we extend the classes and we implement the interfaces. We actually implement these things to tell the JVM or compiler that this class, which is implementing either of these interfaces, has to do some special job. So kind of a permission will be given for that class. For example, if I do serializable, if I implement serializable interface. Now, what permission I will be given? The permission I will be given is to serialize my class. What is serialized and what is clonable and what is remote? These are not my topics. This is my topic, but let me discuss a little bit about them too. Let me talk about this first, remote. Then we'll take in detail the serializable. So in remote is if you have an object on a one particular computer and you want to run it from a remote computer, some other computer on a network. And if your class is not implementing the remote interface, your JVM will not allow any remote class to access your class. So access will be denied. But if you are implementing this, the JVM is having an extra piece of knowledge that this class can be accessed from a remote computer. So now the permission is granted. If you are so we are not implementing anything here. Actually, it's nothing in it. These interfaces are marker interfaces and nothing in it. But this is kind of a permission. This is kind of an indication, kind of an extra information for the JVM or compiler that you're going to do something, some special permissions for these classes. Same way is a clonable. That if you want to copy your class, make a clone of it. We know the clone, the meaning of clone all the time. Okay? So if you want to make clone of your class, you gotta have, otherwise the permission will not be given. If you want to clone your class and you are not implementing the clonable interface, your JVM will not allow it. Simple as it is. And same thing is with the serializable. That if you want to serialize your class, then you have to first implement the serializable interface. So your class has to implement the serializable. Say for example, you have a class, say you have a public class serializable, and you have to implement firstly the serializable. Okay, you have to implement the serializable. I forgot to put on my lens on it, so I'm having glare issues. I don't have a lens issues, but I have glare issues in my eyes. So I need to blink more. I forgot it. So anyways, so you have a class. If you want your class to be serializable, this is my class SER, for example, and you want this class to be serializable, then you have to implement the serializable. The first thing is that. Okay? Now what the heck will happen to this class? And what is the meaning of serializable and then the deserializable, okay, or deserialization? So you are making your class deserializable and all that. You are doing deserialization. So what it means is, for example, you have a particular object. Say you have an object here. If this is visible, this is my object, for example. And I want to store this in a file. So you want to store this in this file. So you want to store this object in a file, for example, right? So this is some file. Its name is abc.txt. So this is a file, and you want to store this object into this file. Why you want to store this object into file? Actually, basically, we want to store the state of this object into this file. Now, the question is why you want to store the state of the object in a file. It could be the persistence. It could be that you want to transmit this object instances via the network into some other computer, and there you want to create the exact same instances and exact same things of this class, of this object. Or you want to transmit this object via the network on the internet onto the other computer. There it could be different JVM, or it could be different computer and all, and there you want to get it there. So in short, the serialization means converting your object to binary stream, because your object is in a Java form, okay, and you want to transmit through the lines, or you want to store it in your hard drive or in your file. Now there it's a total different story. The files have their own structure. So that is the streams. We know the streams. We are talking about streams last time also. Okay. Now you have to convert this object to the binary stream. So serialization means nothing but to convert your object into binary stream. So you have to convert your object to binary stream, right? So you have an object and you want to write into file, so you have to convert this object into the stream. So when this object is converted into stream, then you can write this file into this object into the file, the state of this object basically. Okay, what the state means? Say for example, this object has some instance variables, they have some data in it, okay, and you want to store all of that, whatever it has, the methods, the fields and all, into this file. You want to write this into the file. So we are talking about files, okay, but we were trying to write the data into the files. We want to put some characters into the file, want to put some integers into the file or strings into the file, and then get things from the file. But now I'm trying to put up my whole object into the file, and that thing is called as serialization. And for that, if you want to do that, the permission will not be given unless and until you do not implement serializable interface. So if your class is implementing serializable interface, it has nothing in it because it's a marker interface, but it's giving permission, it's an extra information to the Java to give permission to serialize this class, means to store this object or instance of this class as a byte stream and store that in a file, right? Now if you want to get back from this file, then this object will be stored in the file in some byte stream, and then if you want to get back and create object out of it, then you can deserialize it and get back and create an object out of it. That's called a deserialization. Now if you want to get back to it, back from the file to the object, this is called a deserialization. So this is serialization and deserialization. Now what you need, what you require, this is the understanding what serializable is. Okay, you want to convert your object into the byte stream, simple, and stuff it into the file. So but if you have a file like this and you want to open this for writing, okay, so you have for that what? File input stream, because you have a file input stream which will, because first you want to write your object in the file, so you have to open the file into the read mode, and for that, for the files, with the file input stream. Okay, so we have a class called file input stream. So for example, this is my class here, public class serializable implements serializable. Okay, public class ser is the name of the class, and it implements serializable, means the permission is given to convert this instance of this object into, if I want that, into the byte stream and store it into the file and all. Okay, maybe it has some instance variables. Okay, maybe it has inside, it has a public, say for example, int roll number. You may have roll number in it, maybe. Okay, you have public string name maybe in it. Okay, variable should be small, and you may have one more thing, public, say ID. But I have one provision in it, that is, if I have these instance variable and I want to stuff them into the file, means serializable, means serialize this instance of this object, then I have a provision to stop stuffing some variable, some field into the file. For that we have seen the access modifiers like public, we have seen the private, the protected, and default. The final key we have seen, we put up the final, what will happen, okay, to make it a constants and all. Then there is a transient. If I say here public, then I say transient, okay. If I say public and transient, then int, for example, ID. Now when I put up here the transient, this extra information with this int ID, it's same int ID like this int roll number and public, it's all the same, public int ID, but I'm putting up extra transient. That means to tell the compiler or JVM, bro, don't stuff it into the file. This piece is not serializable. The rest is serializable, this is not. So if you have some roll number names and IDs here and you want to stuff into the file, this transient guy will not be stuffed into the file. So it will be barred. So if you have all the fields and among them you don't want certain fields to be serializable, that this is very critical, I cannot allow it to store into the file because of privacy and all, then put the transient in front. You put transient in front, it will not be allowed to stuff into the file. Simple as it is, right? Now, if I have this public class, these are the stuffs. We may have the constructors and all to initialize it and all those things. You can write the code. We'll write the code. You'll see the example in our Eclipse. Okay. Now we got this thing. Now we want this object. We first need to create an instance of this object. Maybe I have another class. It has all those things, constructors and all here, right? I have one more class here, public. Maybe I call it persistence or persistent, whatever you could need to call the object, call it whatever. And here we got a public static void main and all the string args and all. And here I create object of this class. So I may call ser s1 equals to new, is it coming screen? Yes, equals to new ser, and I call the constructor which we will create in the code in Eclipse, which will initialize these values. Maybe roll number is 1 and name is Junaid and your ID is 101. Okay, I'm getting all the things here. This is getting out of screen, don't worry. This is ser, the constructor. I'm creating object of this ser. S1 is called new ser, and then is a 1, then Junaid and 101. Okay, does it make sense what I'm doing? Now I am just creating object of this class, and it will have a constructor. You understand that it will have this constructor which will initialize. There will be a constructor called ser, which has 3. It will be parameterized constructor which will have 3 variables in it, like int r, string n, and int id, and then you say this dot roll number is equal to whatever you have there, and all that, the constructor way which we do. That's the common sense, right? Now, but this class is now ready to be serial. If you want to serialize this, you first need to open this file into the write mode, and for that we have one what is that called as a class, that's called FileOutputStream, or sorry, FileOutputStream, which you want to write to the file. Input stream means if you want to read from the file. So we have a file, in this case here, we write in this public static void main actually that I'm extending this class. Can I write here? Can it be seen on my body? No. Let me put it here. Okay. That the next part of it is, because I want to stuff this S1, which is my object reference variable of the object ser, into the file. So how will you do it? Okay, you will simply do it by first opening this file in a write mode. Okay, then telling this file that, bro, I'm stuffing into you the object. So for that we got the object output stream. We got 2 classes to use here. One is the file output stream to open the file in a write mode. Then the object output stream, which will prepare this file for stuffing object into it. Okay, then the object output stream has a method like write object, and we will write object which object we want to write. Okay, but we have to first prepare the file in a write mode, and then second make it prepare to create a way for the object streams that I want to stuff object into it. So I need two classes here to help me out. The first is FileOutputStream, so I will create an object of class FileOutputStream, maybe I call it FO, equals to new file output stream, and I may have a file here abc.txt, for example, in the double quotes, which I want to create. So this file will be created. If I don't give a path, it will be created wherever the project is. And I am doing what? I am creating an object FO, a reference variable FO, which will create me an object of type file output stream, and I am giving it a file name. That means it is preparing this abc.txt into the write mode. But the second thing I need to do is now prepare this file to receive the objects. So I have for that, if you want to write objects into that, so I have what is called as an object output stream. Maybe I call it OO equals to new object output stream, and I'm stuffing this FO, that which file you want to stuff, because this one try to write object into some file, but that file, which is abc.txt, has to be opened in a write mode. That is done by the file output stream. Okay, file output stream is preparing this file to be written opening it in a write mode. Now FO knows it. FO knows which file is being opened in a write mode. FO knows it, and object output stream want to stuff, prepare that file which is in the write mode open, and stuff object into it, the state of the object into it, and that is done by the object output stream, right? Okay, and OO is this equals to the reference variable which is of type object output stream, and I think equals to new object output stream, and I link it with the file which is being opened in the write mode. That is, FO knows that. FO is the reference variable of type file output stream, which has opened the abc.txt in a write mode, and object output stream needs that file to be opened in an output in a write mode. That is done by the FO, so I'm stuffing FO into it. Now I have a method called OO.write. What do you want to write? You want to write the object. And which object you want to write? Now OO is prepared. OO is linked with this file. This file is opened by FO in a write mode, and OO is linked with this file to stuff object into it. Now a method in the object output stream is called the write object, so I'm calling it using its reference variable OO.write object, and I want to write which object. Now you have to tell which object. Obviously the S1. Now S1, I will feed this to the S1. Now whatever the instances of object we have, all these instances, whatever we have, this one, Junaid 101, not 101 because it is transient, right? Other than ID, whatever it has, all the variables without transients, they will be stuffed into this file, into the byte stream. If you open this file, that will be gibberish. You can't understand that because that's a byte stream, okay? That's not some kind of a text and all. That's an object being stuffed into that. Now it is ready and it is done. Then you can have additional operations like OO.flush, that flush the things. This is quite, or close, then close the object, OO close, and FO.close, close the FO objects and all that. Close the file object, close the object output stream object, and flush the file and flush this OO, that means clear it from all the attachments which was with the S1 or something else. It will clear any attachment which is with any object by the flush and clear the buffers and all. Then close will simply close it out. This object will be no more. This object output stream, and fo.close will close the file object. That is, file object will be no more there. Now this is how you serialize an object into the file. So you need two things first. First, you need a file to be opened in a write mode. That is done by the FileOutputStream, which will open my file in a write mode. And which file I put up in its constructor when I create this object. So that's the FileOutputStream constructor, and I send the file name. So it will create a file. If it is not there, it will create the name of that file, abc. It will create that file, and it will open that in a write mode. Then I will create an object output stream instance, that is OO, with a reference variable, and call its constructor and send this FO to it, send this file object which has opened that particular file in a write mode to it. Then simply write that particular object, that's S1, this object, which is of this class, that SER class, with all the instances intact, and what is called a state. State means whatever is in these variables, it will be stuffed into the file. Which file? Which is linked by FO, which is opened by FO in a write mode. What is the name of that? abc.txt. Right? I think it's more than clear now. Now, what is deserialization? That's bang on target. You have to tell me yourself, because this is not easy. The same stuff, but now not in a write mode, but in a read mode. Right? So if you want to do deserialization, you need to open the file not in a write mode. You need to open in a read mode. So for that, what you have is not, will you have a file output stream? No. You will have a file input stream. Call that something, say F1. So we have here, what should I write? I'm running out of space. So we have a file, I will call it here. So you say output stream, just say input stream. It's quite simple now. This file input stream, say maybe I call it fi, equals to new, the constructor file input stream, and which file you want to open in a read mode, abc.txt. It will be same, but here it will not be output stream, it will be input stream, and here also it will be input stream, file input stream. What will do a file input stream do? It will see what's the name of the file. This is abc.txt. Open this file in a read mode. Now this file will be opened in a read mode. So if it is not there, it may be created. But if it is there, it will be opened in a read mode. Then object, now it's an object output stream. You don't need object output stream, because you don't want to write the object onto the file. You want to read that object. You want to read that byte stream and convert that into the object. Okay. So for that we have an object input stream. Like we have file input stream to fetch, open the file in a read mode. Same is the object input stream, which will open this file in a read mode. Whatever you name call it, then you have a constructor, and then you feed this constructor with that object which has the file input stream object which has opened the file in a read mode. Feed it to this. Now your file has attached both things. First is the file input stream, which will open this file in a read mode. Second is the object input stream, which will have this file now ready for fetching the byte stream and convert that back into the object. Okay, then convert that back into the object. Now, like we had the oo.write object, which is writing it. Now I don't want to write into it, I want to read. So what will be there? There will be whatever name I give it to this object here, that dot read object. Okay, now you will read object. It will not have the S1 in it. Okay, so if I say, for example, the name of the object input stream, so it was, say, OI, not this time OO. So now we have OI dot read object, but this will have one problem in it, and I don't have anything in it because I don't want to write into it. I wanna get things from the OI.read. What is OI.read does? OI.read object will read the byte stream from your file. Okay, maybe I just try to rub this here. That I can write it here properly. Yeah. So I have, say, OI dot read object. Now what does OI dot read object does? It will get this file, okay, who was opened in a read mode by whom? By file input, not output, input stream. Okay, this file was opened in a read mode, and then who is this? What is this OI? It's a reference variable of which object? Object input stream, which will make this file ready to fetch byte stream and convert that into the object. That is why this class object input stream has a method called ReadObject, which actually get all that byte stream from this file, the byte stream on this file, and convert that into object. That means it is getting from this file all the stuff. So where will it go? Common sense. It has to go into some object, right? So which object? Definitely I want to create the same object, the SER. So I say SER. No, I'm not now creating like this SER S2 equals to new whatever. I'm not going to create it like this. Say SER S2 equals to. So if I want to create, like I say SER S2 equals to new SER, then I stuff into 2, say Juni and 202. Now this is to create the object, the different object, but this is not serial, this is not deserialization. This is to create an object. Okay, the serialization is getting it from the file. So I don't have to do this thing. Okay, I'm not going to do this thing, right? Because I do not want to create an object. Rather, I want to create an object, yes, but fetch it from where? Fetch it from the file. Whatever the state was saved here, get that state exactly back and do it into the S2. The S2 will be kind of a clone, okay, of your S1, but not exactly clone, because transient guys must not have stuffed themselves. So there will be 0 for this ID into the file, because there will be nothing, because this will not be stuffed. Whatever the value of ID is, it will not be stuffed. It will be 0 for ID, or null for the characters and all. But this again has one problem, because when I say OI.readObject, okay, this is a general method, okay, and it creates you, basically it fetches the data from instances of a class, like we say, or we say the state of a class which was as a byte stream in a file. It fetches that and tries to convert, and converts, not tries, but just converts that into the object, and we have to drop that into S2, okay. But there is a mismatch. Why? Because if this is a general method, this is done for all, but if this one is exactly as that of SER, then it will not work for the other classes. So we have to make it general purpose. So it returns you the object class. It returns you the type of an object class, because that way it can be applicable for all the classes you have. You have tomorrow PER class. You have tomorrow, you create your own class. For that we can use it. But we need to convert it from object class to SER class. Say for example, we have coming from this side the characters, like we used to fetch from the file. We know files are made to fetch characters from it, but we are dragging integers. So we are saying we are parsing, we are using that, okay, integer.parsing, so that we are converting this into the integers. Same way here. It is fetching this byte stream, converting it into an object, but of type object, because which is the super daddy of all the classes, the object class. But I want to convert it into this SER, so I have to typecast it into the SER. That's it. I just want to convert this, whatever the object is created out of this file, and copy that reference variable s2 to point to that object. Whatever object this guy creates, that object. It creates an object from this file. It creates that object. Now that object is created somewhere in a heap with all those instances. Other than this ID, everything is intact. Now S2 will point to it, but before that, because this object is created is of type object, because I want to make it a general purpose. So tomorrow I have a SER class, I have a PER class, I have an ABC class, whatever class I have, I typecast it to make it of my whatever the class has of that type. Now S2 is ready to point to this object. Does it make sense? And this thing will be called as a deserialization. Now let's recap it. And then we will go into the example and try to do the example. Okay. So what I'm saying that serialization is a marker class. A marker class is which is empty. A marker interface, not class. So marker interface is which has nothing in it. It is only to give some sort of permissions and make JVM ready to do particular tasks or operations on those classes. Like here we have the clonable, the remote, the serializable. The serializable is used to convert the status, whatever the status of the object is, into the file and write it into the byte stream. Okay, and we need for that firstly to open this file into the write mode. That is done with the FileOutputStream and giving that into the constructor the name of the file. Then you need an object output stream which will make this file ready to get object stuffed into it in a byte stream. And we have for the method called ReadObject, and you are telling which object you want to write into it. Now this object will be written into it as a form of byte stream. Iska reciprocal, iska ulta. What is that? That is, I want to get this byte stream and convert object out of it, and I'm creating object out of it. This io.readObject will convert an object out of it. But before that, I need to open this file in a read mode. That is done by the file input stream. Okay, I say file input stream fi equals to new file input stream and give the name of the file, which file I want to open in the input stream. अब ये file input mode में खुल गई. That means read mode में खुल गई, यानी कि मुझे अब इसमें read कर सकता हूँ मैं. लेकिन अब मैं कहता हूँ कि नहीं, मेरे को object read करना है. So I need a special class for that, and that's called as an object input stream. And उसको मैं link करता हूँ इस file object के साथ जो मैंने अभी create किया, जिसने इस file को read mode में open किया. Maybe that's called fi, and I give the fi to that. Okay, कहीं पे लिखा था मैंने शायद. अब मैं ये जो मेरा object input stream है OI, मैंने इसका नाम दिया, उसका एक method है called ReadObject. This ReadObject will read from the file whatever this OI is linked with, which file the OI is linked with. It will open this file, read it from it, and create an object for us. This is an object which is created out of this file. Okay, but before I can link it with the S2, I have to typecast it of type SER. Okay, and that's why I'm typecasting it to the SER to make it big. Otherwise it returns as an object class object of object class type, right? We know that this is the super daddy of all the classes. I typecast it. Now S2 is good to read from this file. S2 is linked to it. Now we can just read it. Okay, then you can simply say, using the S2, you can see all whatever here is roll number, name, and this. You can output that using a one method. We have one method. We will create a one method here using the S2. I can read, output these. Normal class you have now. Like you have a normal class and you want to output the instance variable using this S2 variable. We can do that. But ID will be 0 because it was a transient. Does it make sense? I think this video is getting longer, and I think the concept is all clear now, hopefully. If you have any issues, you can talk to me. You can send a private chat. You can put up in a group if you have doubts. But if you watch it, I think you will not have a. If you watch it properly and make a notes, you will not have an issue. In the next class, which may be live or the video class, I guess on Tuesday I'm on a roster duty, but I will skip that and I will create a live class on that day. Okay, so we will have a next class, a live class, inshallah ta'ala. That will be on Tuesday, and where we implement these things. But you need to keep all these things in your brain, because I will be asking you to tell me about these things. Okay, okay then, see you next time in the live class. Until then, ma salama.